Patch 68.9 notes. New skin, balance changes, tutorial. Oh my. It's that time again, say Gulug. Good Luck Games. We've made some sweet updates to Storybook Brawl, and you can read all about them in these patch notes. Royals rise, dwarves fall, and a few new characters have entered the scene. Take a look. And so I will. Some new art here. Trash Panda Potion Master skin. Do not tell my wife. I will have to buy it. Firstly, we're happy to introduce the Trash Panda Potion Master hero skin. Potion Master is one of our favorites, and this skin truly does him justice. It's pretty nice. Is this the new? It's good stuff. There's even a nice Easter egg for those of you who buy XP spells as frequently as we do. Like with Dragon Master Gwen and Morgana of the Rose, this will be available in the store for 200 gems. I like it. I like when they add new, nice paid cosmetics. Genuinely, I think that many will be tempted to read that as facetiousness. It is not. I like the skins because it allows this game to be free without making it pay to win. And that's actually very important for a fledgling indie multiplayer competitive game because it needs a lot of players. And it's a lot easier to get players in when your game is free, right? So if you can support them, if you can afford it, support the devs. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Dwarves. Dwarves have been at the top of the heap for a while now, and we've decided to take more action here. These 3 changes aim to cut dwarves down to size and reduce how often they show up as lobby-winning comps. Award-winning pros here, by the way. Bossy. Cut. This change went into effect a few weeks ago as a hot fix, but I wanted to mention it here. Bossy isn't the biggest piece of the puzzle, but every bit matters, and an early Bossy could be overwhelming. Plus, the Glassdoor reviews of dwarves who left the company really didn't help. Jeez. Yeah, the Bossy cut's fine. I think in the previous hotfix we talked about it, and it's a big deal because what we were seeing was a lot of power of dwarves in the mid game. Some heroes particularly could really lean on doubly. Tweedledee, perhaps one of the best characters in the game. At level 4 in particular, they were a standout. You didn't even have to be in dwarves. If you were taking things like Sporko, which you want to do anyway, then you could take Tweedledee and throw them in front, and what you had was a lot stronger board. So Tweedledee was very takeable. Doubly was frequently takeable. Tiny was in a position to where they were actually one of the best early game drops because of how well they traded against so many other things. So dwarves are really strong. And then if you manage to get Lordy, particularly with the new Tweedledee, because before it was all about Lordy and doublies and Echo Wood, but then you add in this Tweedledee. Tweedledee gets those Lordy stats. It duplicates them when it does its resummon. That stat gain is then reflected on Echo Wood. The addition of the Tweedledee made the end game of dwarves very, very strong. And they tended to be high pressure throughout, right? And so dwarves were in a good position. The cut to Bossy initially, I kind of underemphasized. But the reason that the Bossy was really key is Bossy was your bridge. Bossy could keep the dwarves that you had relevant to give you a chance to hit Lordy, because otherwise there was this really awkward gap at level 5 to where you tended to fall off a bit. And so the Bossy cut was a big deal, and keeping it in is a big deal. It means that dwarves have this really dangerous bridge to the end game. Made even more dangerous by these next 2 things. I really try to review these patches fresh without looking at them. I swear to you, I barely glanced at these patch notes right at the beginning of stream to make sure I had it set up. I just took the smallest little glance, and these things are big. I mean, they really felt how much pain I was experiencing with in-game dwarves because they cut Dwarven Forge. Oh, man. And honestly, it might have been one of the biggest things. Because all of a sudden, You've got Tweedledee at 4, who's a really big deal. You're using things like Royal Steed to get a level 4 out of Princess White. You're almost always trying to push runestones and treasure map in that early game anyway, because it's such a good accelerant. Dwarven Forge really came up quite a bit, and when it did, dwarves became ridiculous. And so I can't believe they cut it. I really can't. It was the only thing of its ilk, but it was so strong because it allowed you to make your board stronger really fast. It allowed you to damage other heroes really fast, and it let you make more treasures. It just was one of these treasures that had almost no downside. I frequently took Dwarven Forge when I wasn't on dwarves, just because it would let me make more treasures, right? That's the power we're talking about here. That's the power of Dwarven Forge. A treasure so strong that you can take it when it's not really related to your build, because it's an investment as well as an immediate source of tempo. So Dwarven Forge cut. Dwarven Forge led to too many upgraded dwarves too early, especially when combined with Tweedle and Lordy. It also exacerbated, the damage dealt by dwarf squads and was a real menace in the mid game. The good news is that if you liked this effect, check out the new Sky Castle. Spoilers. And Tweedledee got moved to level 5. Can you believe it? Tweedle, level 5. From a 6-1 level 4 to an 8-2 level 5. Says this is the most impactful change, both to dwarves and the character pool overall. Tweedle was the strongest level 4 character, and had a warping effect no matter how it was used. As a result of Tweedle's dominance, it's getting a promotion to level 5, and a stat bump to go along with it. You know what I appreciate almost more than anything else? This. This is one of the biggest things that's been key to me improving at Storybook Brawl. Remember that I come from a world of roguelikes. And in games like Slay the Spire, it's not really meaningful or effective to say X is the strongest card, because there's too much context and there's too many constraints. There are rare examples. There are certainly cases in single-player games where one card, one power, one potion shines above the others. It's a 95% pick. You're gonna take it. It's that good. But it's pretty rare, and most of your decisions are heavily weighted around what's going on right now, what's different about your current game. And here are the devs. Here's Good Luck Games saying Tweedle was the strongest level 4 character. I need to think about this. I need to say this out loud. I need to repeat this mantra when I go to bed, because this is a game where some cards are better than others. And that's the way you win. That's the way you scale in the meta. The way that you rank up is you understand that some characters are better than others, and you figure out what they are, and you figure out how to stay open to them. Because Tweedledee was the best level 4 character. And if you weren't thinking about how to use Tweedledee when you found them, if you weren't staying open to them, which I often wasn't, I look back at my games and I watch myself rolling past Tweedledees in a position to take them. That's a mistake. That's part of why I struggled, right? And so I really appreciate this, because I think that there's a level of kind of self-awareness here from the devs to say straight up, this was the best character. So much the best that it warped the whole meta. And so we're changing it. So cool. Good. Bossy out, Dwarven Forge out, and Tweedledee to 5. I suspect dwarves are going to look a lot different than they did last patch. By which I mean to say, I don't think you'll see as much of them. With Tweedledee at 5, there's an interesting thing that might happen, which is that you'll see less early and mid-game dwarves, but then suddenly someone might take a Tweedledee at 5 because it works well with their board. Maybe they're Geppetto, maybe some heroes more than other, and then boom, all of a sudden they see Lordy, and then they slam into endgame dwarves. And so endgame dwarves will be strong still. Tweedledee moving to 5 from 4 does not meaningfully impact the fact that they're still going to be really good alongside a Lordy. It's just that you won't see them follow the needle through the whole game, because they used to be good early, middle, and late, high tempo and high investment power. And so I think they kind of broke them up a little bit with these changes. And for that, I think I'm glad. I think I'm thankful. Tweedledee used to be a level 3, that's right. But Tweedledee also used to have a different last breath effect. Instead of summon Tweedledum with my attack and health swapped, it was summon a 1/6 Tweedledum or a 1/4 or whatever it was. And so it used to have set stats on the resummon, and it was considered pretty weak. And then it got moved to 4, and it was given these flexible stats. And now level 5. It's gone through quite a lot of changes. Moving on to Sky Castle, which has new art. Farewell, dwarves. Treasures, Sky Castle, from your princes and princesses have +4/+4 to you only need 2 copies to upgrade a prince or princess. Dwarven Forge, reborn as royals. Sky Castle art is a downgrade. First of all, rude. Second of all, this is stock art. The earlier Sky Castle is part of a shared pack of assets that you can pay for and that a lot of indie games use. This one will have been made in-house. And I suspect that the color palette is made to kind of mirror Dwarven Forge, given the change. Sky Castle, you only need 2 copies to upgrade a prince or princess. We liked Dwarven Forge's effect, even if it was too pushy in Dwarves specifically. Royals have needed a boost for a while now, and Sky Castle offers them a lot more of what they're looking for, especially when you take Arthur and Miri's text boxes into account. This change is crazy, and I suspect that if Miri gets Sky Castle, it might make them win? This might single-handedly take Miri from like a D to an A pick. For real. And I'm really curious to see if they did anything to Miri. I think it's going to feel good. One thing that's going to be a little strange about it is a lot of the princes and princesses are quest units. And so who are you left with? Sherwood Sure Shot. Prince Arthur, and Sky Castle Prince Arthur is disgusting. It's dominant. It's gross. This says you only need 2 copies to upgrade a prince or princess, and Prince Arthur says upgraded princes and princesses get permanent stats every single round, including itself. Sky Castle Prince Arthur, I'm honestly worried about. I'm honestly... Keep in mind, this patch has been out a couple days. I've not watched it. I've not played it. I've not seen a single game. I've not looked at a single comment about it. I completely skipped my Discord comment section about Storybook Brawl for the last several days. I am truly coming into this with no knowledge. This frightens me. This frightens me. I think this is going to shift the meta towards Royals in a very real way. And frankly, they needed it. I mean, as Good Luck Games says here, we like Dwarven Forge's effect even if it was too pushy. Royals have needed the boost for a while now, and they do. They've been pretty weak. They just don't compete because they are kind of just at par throughout the mid-game. The real power of Royals for a while has been quests, right? If you can activate them, a chance to get treasures a little bit more economically, but they just couldn't accelerate enough into the end game. I basically was only playing anything Royal when I was getting into a good boy end game, and that was really only to activate Court Wizard. The Royals existed to activate Court Wizards, right? And so I think this is cool. I'm excited for it, but I am also straight up nervous about what this will do to Prince Arthur and what this will do to Miri. We'll see. Dancing Sword. Your characters have +1 attack, goes to your evil characters have +1/+1. And Fountain of Youth. Your characters have +1 health, goes to your good characters have +1/+1. I love this. Let me make a prediction. Before I even get to what's next, let me make a prediction. I hope, that what Good Luck Games talks about down here is the fact that there aren't enough signposts in the game. I think that one thing that Storybook Brawl will really benefit from over the next few patches in preparation for a full release 1.0 is adding more signpost treasures. What does that mean? We talk about signposts, signpost treasures, signpost shops, signpost fights. Signposts are things that give you direction. A signpost tells you which way to go in order to get to the city. And in this case, the direction is what you buy and play, and the city is winning a game. When we're talking about drafting games, a signpost is a clear set of indicators that there's a set of plays you should make. A shop that says, I'm about to be royals. Or a treasure that says, I'm about to be good or evil. Signposts have two benefits. Not only do they make the game kind of a bit more engaging, you have more of those aha enlightenment moments to where you see the stars align. They also help you keep the meta balanced. Because when you add in more signposts that are varied and diverse, people make different plays. Something that's happened is a lot of the hero powers and a lot of the treasures have kind of become more neutral over time. And so because they're mostly differentiated by their power, what you end up with is a ranking list of characters and treasures. And so you pick the treasures that are strongest and the characters that are strongest. And the result is that you have Tweedledee on every board. So what if more of the treasures pushed you to go in a different direction? What if you could randomly be a little bit better at evil than you would usually be? You might see more evil boards. And so I'm thinking this is less about just getting a buff. I'm also thinking this is about being a signpost, creating more positions, more experiences, more moments that differentiate people's games and lines. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. Dancing Sword, your evil characters have +1/+1. Fountain of Youth, your good characters have +1/+1. These treasures weren't the strongest or most interesting, so we're swapping them out for a pair that give you a reason to build towards good or evil comps. Well, I use more words, but that's why they pay me. Characters, Oni King 5? Characters. Oni King moved from a level 6 to a level 5. From a... You know, this is curious because these aren't actually the stats. I wonder if this card was pulled from like some point in the beta? Oni King used to be a 10/10 that gave your monsters +10/+10. I wonder if they first tried buffing it to a 13/13 and then just said, screw it, let's put it at 5. Which I love. Oni King didn't quite have the punch we wanted in late game comps, so we're moving him down to level 5 with some stat adjustments. Monsters are back on the menu, and seeing Oni King sooner and more often definitely will give them some direction. Oni King might be the safer move. A couple patches ago, they moved Pumpkin to level 5, and it was meta warping. Oni King to level 5, I don't think will be as meta warping, but it's another really good signpost. Monsters have actually been good for a long time, but what they're not good at is taking crowns. And here's the thing. Level 6 characters need to be good at taking crowns. Because at the current tempo of the meta, by the time you get to level 6, you're just not going to buy characters that aren't going to get you a crown. Because if you're even alive at that point, you're in the top 4, right? And that was the problem with Oni King, is that coming online at level 6, they just couldn't scale that well in relation to their competition. But at level 5, man, that's a spear of Achilles. That's a big freaking deal, right? So I love this change. I think it's great. Gingerbread Knight. Level 4 character, a 7/7 that says +7/+7 if you have 20 or less health. Oh. A recovery character? I didn't think they would ever do it. Okay, listen. I haven't talked about this enough, but it's something I've been thinking about a fair amount and that I've heard a couple people talk about, which is that one thing which is kind of a challenge in Storybook Brawl is that there are basically no recovery plays. In Super Auto Pets, yes, I'm invoking Super Auto Pets. There is, it's called like a snail or something, if I remember correctly. If you lose a round, it gives you this incredible bonus, but only if you've just lost a round. Recovery characters, recovery treasures, recovery powers are really important because what you want is for people to have many opportunities to demonstrate their skill and to keep the game close, because close games are fun, right? Recovery plays also can keep other players honest and can limit the amount with which one player can just snowball past everybody else. Storybook Brawl is a very snowbally game. And it tends to be that one or two people become the juggernaut in a lobby, another couple barely survive by lying, cheating, and stealing to take third and fourth, and everybody else just gets blasted. There are so many things in the game which allow you to snowball, and snowballing is how you win. And because there was also not anything for recovery, it tended to be that once you were out, you were just out. And it was a matter of basically deciding if you were going to get 8th or 6th. You just kind of hope that you get 6th. And you're playing the game knowing that you're not going to win, right? And so I'm really glad that they did this. The game needs this. The game needs recovery material. Gingerbread Knight, new level 4 good prince, 7/7 with +7/+7 if you have 20 or less health. You could be at level 4 with a 14/14 on the board, vanilla, and it's a prince in a meta that has the Sky Castle that lets you double princes and princesses for an upgrade. That's really strong recovery, and it's another thing that's going to push the game towards royals. I am so curious to see how many royals are being run right now. A recovery royal? Miri must be nuts. Miri must be so nuts. Miri's going to hit level 4 at 13 health, like he usually does. Slap 2 freaking 28/28 Gingerbread Knights on the board. It's just amazing. But I am glad for this unit. I am. I think that's going to work. Gingerbread Knight helps make up for a bad start, say Good Luck Games. If you've taken a bunch of early damage, it gives you a huge character at a low level. We wanted to give players more tools to come back, and this text box is a start. It sure is. A new level 5 treant, Burning Tree. Bonuses to my attack, also add to my health. Bonuses to my attack, also add to my health? What? Twitch chat. They finally did it. They finally allowed trees as a package to actually work. I can't believe it. Okay, listen. When the game first came out, Round Table was a level 6 treasure. This meant that you could pull together one of the strongest endgame packages with just trees by playing Ashwood to give plus attack to your trees, and then Round Table gives them all health, and all of that converts to Echo Wood, and then Echo Wood stomps. And Echo Wood has, oddly enough, became a unit which is good on basically every endgame board except for trees. Because trees just didn't have a good enough way to get it health. And now they do. Now they do. You don't have to hit a level 7 treasure, a specific level 7 treasure, in order to convert attack and health to your in-game treant board, because now you have Burning Tree. Burning Tree, new level 5, Evil Treant, 520. Bonuses to my attack, also add to my health. That's crazy. Chat points out this also works well with Creeper. It's true. I wonder if permanent bonuses to attack become permanent bonuses to health. I'm not sure how that interacts, but I'm curious to learn about that. Says treants died on the vine a little once Shoulder Fairy stopped working with Echo Wood. It's true. And we wanted to plant some new seeds. Burning Tree is a massive threat if you can buff it, and it works perfectly with Ashwood Elm. This is crazy business. They just revived treants in a single card. A single card. Tyler MTC, thank you so much for that tier 1 sub and 43 months of support, roaring towards 4 years, if you can believe it. I barely can. Thank you. Time Flies. Another new character, a 3/3 animal. Wait a minute. Time Flies, level 5, 3/3 animal. When one of your characters dies, summon me from your hand. Time flies when you're winning brawls, and this definitely gives you a little extra punch. There are plenty of combos to be found with this one as well, and we will leave those for you to discover. When one of your characters dies, summon me from your hand. You only get to summon it one time, right? I mean, it's even more resummons for an animal board, right? It works with Monkey's Paw and any other aura buff for your board. Mordred noises. Everybody Mordred now. I mean, it wants Bearstain, I guess. Stravelier says, I can't get over the pun in the Time Flies card. Yes, they really did make a mechatronic clock fly. I said, chat says, oh, look, it's an animal for bear stain. Yeah, that's kind of what I see right now. I agree. Geppetto likes this, of course. That's true. That's really big for Geppetto. Feasting Dragon. A level 5. Slay. For the rest of the game, characters in your shop have +1/+1? The rest of the game? Yo. Twitch chat, what are these new characters, man? This is what the game needed. 1, 2, 3, 4 new characters? Dwarven Forge deleted? This is a big patch. Gingerbread House when I slay. For the rest of the game. Doragon. I'm worried about this card too. Let me tell you why. Grimsoul. Imagine the words. Maybe this is where my editor comes in. Grimsoul exists. Gingerbread Party may have consistently been a difficult to balance spell. Because it's right on that edge to where if you make it much cheaper, it's way too strong, but it's in competition with so many good spells that people don't cast it that much. But Gingerbread Party does say +1/+1 for the rest of the game. Embiggening Stone is one of the best treasures in the game. And no, I didn't make a mistake there. I do mean Embiggening Stone, the level 6 treasure that says your level 2 and 3 units in the shop get +15/+15. I think it's one of the best treasures in the game. Full stop. And it only applies to level 2s and level 3s. And it's a level 6. That's a big constraint. With Grimsoul, with Baba Yaga, with Horn of Olympus at level 4 and Evil Eye at level 5, a 12/8 that can bring up the efficacy of those in-game 5s and 6s. This unit is poised to be a big deal. The only knock against it is that it's a level 5 pure investment unit because it only applies to units that you buy ahead of you, right? It doesn't matter what you've already got. It only matters for new units. Level 5 pure investment unit in a really fast tempo meta. Unless the game slowed down by 2 or 3 turns, this patch, we may be surprised to find ourselves boarding Feasting Dragon less often than we thought. It's just such an aggressive meta. But if it slows down at all, or if you're in a position to have several turns left, boom. Feasting Dragon. This is going to be really hard to balance. This is one of those cards that will accidentally get side balanced constantly because it is directly tied to the pace of the meta, right? It's like constantly buying futures and Storybook Brawl game time. I'm so curious to see all these cards. I'm so curious to see all these cards in play. It feels crazy to me to be looking at this with no knowledge of what the game is. I'm so deeply curious. Good Luck Game says, Feasting Dragon, level 5, 12/8, Slay. For the rest of the game, characters in your shop have +1/+1. This dragon is hungry, and given a few feasts, can buff your upcoming characters nicely. People have been asking for more dragons, so here we are, even if it's eaten a bit too much to fly like some of the other dragons. Fully landlocked Doragon. I love it. I love it. All right. We're done with characters. This is wild. Heroes. I heard about this one. I'm not gonna lie. I did hear about this one. And I'm excited to talk about it. Pan's Shadow. Used to say the first evil character you buy each round costs 1 less. Now says when you reach level 4, level 2 and 3 characters no longer appear in your shop. It is truly the opposite of Peter Pants now, which is something we talked about in this chat room many times. Actually, on my Twitch stream, we've talked about Pan's Shadow needing to be a little bit more thematically opposite from Peter Pants. Their effect felt a little vanilla considering the theming of what they are, and frankly, they've just always been really weak. They just haven't stood up well against the general pick of heroes. When I say always, I mean always for like the last 20 patches, but once upon a time, actually, Shadow was very strong. I'm told that even before I started playing, there was an iteration of Shadow which was very strong. But I think they've nailed the theming here. I really love the idea of having a built-in Staff of the Old Toad. It really differentiates this hero from Peter Pants in a nice thematic way. And it's cool. It's cool to think about. It really means that you play pure tempo for level 2 and 3. You can't think of any level 2 and 3 investments. One unfortunate side effect is that means that for Shadow, it's basically impossible to get runestones or treasure map. And runestones and treasure map continue to be pretty central to the game. Honestly, I think you'll find that if you start paying attention, your result in a game is tied quite a bit. It's heavily correlated with whether or not you get runestones or treasure map and how well you use them. It's one of the single biggest differentiators in how strong you are in a game. And so the fact that the new version of Shadow has trouble making the treasures is going to be a downside. But level 4s, 5s, and 6s look really strong right now. And so I think as long as you make sure to focus on being strong in level 2 and 3 and not worry too much about investments, that this can be quite good. And you have more options now, right? It's way easier to get into royals who are very strong, including a level 4 treasure. It's way easier to scale up your in-game units with the new dragon, which is very strong and is advantaged by level 4 and 5 treasures and characters, Baba and Horn of Olympus and Ivella. It's way easier to get treants online now. And your most important pieces are level 5 and level 6. And maybe a level 4 in Heartwood Elder, right? So you've got lots of options once you hit level 4 for Shadow. It says Shadow is one of the least popular heroes, so we're trying a different take on it. Instead of making evil characters cheaper, it now gives you a stronger selection of characters later in the game. I'm thrilled. I'm stoked. The Fates. Your upgraded characters used to have +5/+5. That was the whole power. It says now, your upgraded characters have +3/+3. The first character you buy is destined to upgrade. What? The Fates is another hero we wanted to give a little love to. The bonus you get is smaller now, but you're guaranteed to upgrade the first character you buy, as it will continue to show up in your shop until you've tripled it. Find out what your fate holds the next time you see the Fates, as this change is a big one. What happens if the first character I buy is a Cinderella? Does it just offer me triple Cinderella? Or does it skip quest units? I want to play this. This is so interesting because Fates was honestly, I think, underrated. They had a very weak true early game, but then they tended to spike really hard, burst up in the early mid game when they started hitting those upgrades. They had a slight proclivity towards quest units and thus a slight proclivity towards good, except that endgame Fates with upgraded Pumpkin was a really strong endgame. And that was perhaps the strongest thing Fates could do, was upgraded Pumpkin endgame. And so Fates actually was also a pretty good dream target. This change emphasizes Fates primarily as a starting unit with a bit more stability and consistency in the early game. But does it also make her into a good dream target again? The first character you buy is destined to upgrade. You dream into Fates and you pick up a level 6, you're guaranteed to triple it. That's kind of a big deal. That's one of the greatest sources of inconsistency in the endgame. I pretty much have to triple Bearstain if I want animal tokens to be relevant at all. And here's the way to guarantee it. And it says it'll keep showing up in your shop. How much? Will it fill my shop? Because if it's filling the shop, that's insane. We just get a shop full of bear stains? Yo, this is a crazy change. This is a big hero change, actually. I'm excited to play this out. It says the Fates is another hero we wanted to give a little love to. This bonus you get is smaller now, but you're guaranteed to upgrade the first character you buy, as it will continue to show up in your shop until you've tripled it. Find out what your fate holds the next time you see the Fates, as this change is a big one. That is a big change. That's not understated. I agree. Ivella gets changed again. Used to be your evil characters have +1 attack for each of your animals that died this brawl. It now says your evil characters have +1 attack. They have an additional +1 attack for each of your animals that died this brawl. Good Luck Game says Ivella has bounced around a bit, and this iteration gives her a little more power to start with. She's a great hero for evil comps and gives you additional value if you go down the animal route as well. The straight up +1 attack, that's really nice. Ivella was the queen of the meta for a while, for a couple patches. She was like maybe the #1 pick, just so MMR positive, but she used to give +1/+1. And so it was solving a major problem of evil comps, which is that evil characters tend to struggle on the health side. They trade well with attack. And so building up a beefy backline of evils allowed her to dominate at every phase of the game. And then she got nerfed. And it was pretty rough because the early game and mid game evils already trade well in terms of their attack. What they need is health. But I think that this is a nice thematic balancing that will make a big difference, because that +1 attack means that she'll tend to keep more health in the early game. And so you're strong in the early game. You're still trading well in the mid game. She's really always meant to be an early to mid game hero. That was kind of her niche. That was her power curve, which is kind of how I think of the heroes. When are they strong and in what way? What is their timing and what's their variance? Ivella has always been a low variance hero in the sense that you're almost guaranteed to hit your most important hits because they're very broad. It's animals and it's evils, right? So you have a lot of character tolerance. She's low variance. She's high power, but during somewhat of a narrow window. She doesn't make that big of a difference in the end game. She's always been an early to mid game hero. And so I think that this reasserts her in that niche. It's good. I like it. New art. We got a bunch of sweet new art pieces to show off as well. The game gets prettier by the day. Shepherd Sling re-arted. Ooh, ah. Wand of Weirding re-arted. The green really makes me think of druids. I guess reveals that I have the mental depth of a spoon or something, right? Like, ooh, green. Tree. Green mean tree. Shoulder fairies. Ooh, that looks nice. I like that. That's fun. New features. Tutorial. We've implemented our first pass at a tutorial for new players. This should help guide new players through how to play, and even has a shopkeeper VO. What? This is a work in progress and will continue to improve this flow, so don't hesitate to send feedback our way. Sweet. Fail feedback. Taking illegal actions like trying to buy a character you can't afford or buying a second spell will trigger a fail feedback message. Some of these also have a VO, and we'll work towards getting all of them VO. Ooh, ah. Attack VFX. We're updating our attack VFX to make ranged attacks more clear and improve the feel of attacks in general. We've also added new tech that allows us to add different VFX for larger attacks. So look forward to us iterating more on this. Ooh, ah. Screen shake. To emphasize massive damage some of your characters do, we've added a screen shake effect. I will be turning this off because I stream on Twitch. But some of you may enjoy this. In general, screen shake is a no-no for broadcast form gameplay. And so it's good that there's also an option to turn it off in the settings. That's quite important for accessibility and for my career. Treasure Replace UI update. To address feedback of not being able to skip treasures during replacement, we're reworking the Treasure Replace UI to be done in one screen. Let's go, baby! I submitted this bug. I'm sure I wasn't the only person. Do you remember this? In a regular ranked game of Storybook Brawl, when you're offered a new treasure, you can skip a treasure, or you can wait and the battle will go off and then you can do a replacement. Okay, never mind. Wait, no, they didn't fix my thing. Dang it. I was sure. Then my bug is still in the game. If you're playing a bot battle and you're in a treasure, you can't hold on to that treasure selection until after the battle because you have to manually click the battle button. Well, we'll wait to another one. I read that and I was like, no way. My bots. I get to have even cooler bot fights. Okay, this means something a little bit different. Never mind. Roll/lock key bindings. We're adding key bindings for the roll and lock buttons. Lock is Control or L, and roll is spacebar or R. Nice. Our plan is to expand on this feature in the future with adding custom bindings. Good. Some bug fixes and improvements. More changes to the networking logic. Nice. Fixed a bug where King Midas would use up treasure map or runestones upon getting a second copy of a character. Yikes. Fixed a bug that if you were Charon or had Coin of Charon along with Trojan Donkey and the character off Donkey Summon would die first, it got the buff. Nice. Fixed a bug where if you faced a player before their health during the VS scene would not update correctly. Good. Yeah, I remember this. Fixed a bug where under certain conditions Mimic would not work with Fancy Pants. Nice. Mimic and Fancy Pants should work together. That's good. Updated the timing on Shrivel to occur when damage effects happen. Oh yeah, Shrivel happened at weird timing. Okay, that's cool. Fixed a bug where a shriveled Tweedledee would summon a Tweedledum with 0 health. I remember this. Fixed a bug where Summoning Portal was counting the creation of spells as summons. I never noticed that. Holy patch, Batman. Simply just a big lad.